Hello, thanks for taking the time to view our presentation today. I'm going to give you a lightning tour of the geology and mineral deposits of Northeast Africa, and especially the Neoproterozoic rocks of Eritrea, where Andiamo operates, and then a quick update of the company's progress recently. Of course, you have to have a little bit of lawyer speak. This one says that if you want to invest in Andiamo, you probably shouldn't rely on this presentation alone. Andiamo Exploration was established in 2008. It's a UK company founded by two economic geologists with, between them, an unrivaled knowledge of the geology and mineral deposits of Eritrea. Systematic exploration of Andiamo's 750 square kilometre license in the west of the country identified many targets, including the Yakub Douar gold deposit, which is currently at pre-feasibility stage. Andiamo plans to put Yakub Douar into production and to use it as the foundation for a systematic Northeast Africa development strategy with a view to creating a mid-tier gold company. A management reshuffle to bring mining and processing skills into the company was completed earlier this year, and the company is backed by Ahmed Funds as a new significant shareholder. Northeast Africa is perhaps the least understood part of the whole African continent, partly because large areas of basement rocks are concealed by younger cover rocks, but also because it's been difficult to operate in many areas due to conflict, notably South Sudan, Western Sudan, Somalia and DR Congo. If we define Northeast Africa as the area bounded by the equator, 25 degrees east, the Mediterranean and Red Seas, Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean, then Andiamo's projects in Eritrea lie almost exactly dead center in the region. In the southwest, the Congo Craton has an Archean core where we find greenstone gold deposits, notably the fabulous Kibali mine in DR Congo. The core is surrounded by overthrust belts of remobilized Archean and Paleoproterozoic rocks, which contain, for example, probable IOCG deposits at Hofrat and Nahas in the far west, gold deposits in the N-Kibaran inverted rift of the Mahdi group, and nickel base metal and gold deposits in thrust slices of juvenile Arabian Nubian rocks. The Sahara Metacraton in the northwest of the region contains areas of exposed Archean and Paleoproterozoic rocks, but it's largely concealed under younger sediments and very poorly understood. There are some gold and lead zinc deposits in Darfur and gold and VMS deposits in the Nubian mountains. Also, the continental fragment in the east, known as Azania, is poorly understood and largely covered by later sediments. The Neoproterozoic rocks of the Arabian Nubian Shield, on the other hand, with their VMS, orogenic gold and porphyry-style deposits, are much better understood. Northeast Africa now is cut by the Great Rift Valley from the Red Sea through Ethiopia and down into Kenya and Uganda, as well as the oil and gas reserves in the rift basins. The rift contains active epithermal gold systems in Djibouti and southern Eritrea, evaporitic deposits including potash in the Danakil Depression, and the sulfide mud deposits of the Atlantis Deep and elsewhere in the Red Sea. There are slightly older oil and gas deposits in failed rifts, notably in South Sudan. The Arabian Nubian Shield is an assemblage of oceanic and island arc terrains which date from around snowball Earth times and were accreted onto Gondwana in the northern end of the East African orogeny. It's the largest area of juvenile crust on Earth. The shield is best known for its volcanogenic massive sulfide deposits such as Hassai and Bisha, and for its orogenic gold deposits including Sukari. But there are also at least one porphyry gold copper deposit and several ophiolitic nickel and chrome deposits. Prolonged residual weathering over much of the shield has produced rich supergene caps on many of the VMS deposits. At Hassai in Sudan, gold production from the oxide cap amounted to 3.2 million ounces at an average grade of 6.8 grams per ton, and Bisha in Eritrea yielded just over 1 million ounces at an average grade of 7 grams per tonne. Rocks of the Arabian Nubian Shield outcrop over much of Eritrea, except where covered by Red Sea Rift Valley volcanics and sediments in the east. A number of distinct terrains have been recognised, and that each has a different Neoproterozoic age and geological composition. VMS deposits form strings of pearls along the sutures between these terrains and along zones of transpression within them. The Nakfa-Barka terrain boundary in the west of the country hosts the Bisha VMS cluster and Yakub Dewar. Orogenic gold deposits are rather more widely distributed, although the larger ones, such as Coca, tend to lie also close to the terrain boundaries. Before moving on to Andiamo's project area, I'm just going to offer a little bit of background on Eritrea and its mining law and fiscal regime. It's about the same size as England, and Eritrea lies on the western flank of the Rift Valley, Red Sea Rift Valley, with a central mountain chain rising to almost 3,000 meters. Asmara, the capital city, lies at 2,300 meters. The highlands are fertile, but the coastal plain on the east and the lowlands on the west are generally rather arid. After a long struggle, Eritrea gained independence from Ethiopia in 1992, but tension persisted over borders and other issues, and a bitter and costly war broke out in 1998. However, after recent changes in the ruling elite in Ethiopia, a peace treaty was signed in July 2018, followed by an agreement ending the border disputes. This led to lifting of international sanctions against Eritrea. Mining is an important source of foreign exchange for Eritrea, and it's consequently much incentivized by the state. Although the single-party political system is often criticized, there is effectively no corruption in Eritrea, and foreign companies find that the rule of law is justly applied. Eritrea's mining law is pretty good, and it's well observed. Based on Australia's Northern Territory Code, the law provides for the usual types of reconnaissance, exploration and mining licenses. Royalties are 5% for gold, 3.5% for base metals. Corporate taxes are a little on the high side at 38% on profits. But the code grants 100% capital allowances which can be carried forward, and most necessary imports, including fuel, are largely tax-free. The Eritrean State Mining Company, Andiamo, receives a 10% carry by right, and it can also buy up to 30% more at commercial valuation at the time the mining license is granted. Thereafter, Andiamo contributes a third of the construction Capex. Some investors object to these state participation terms, but the injections of cash, both the purchase price and the Capex contribution, can be very helpful in financing a mine, especially for smaller companies. Also, it helps that the state's interest and the companies are generally closely aligned. Andiamo's exploration license lies in western Eritrea, about 50 kilometers south of Bisha, along the Nakfa-Barka terrain boundary. It's helpfully located on the main sealed trunk road to the west and astride the Gash, the second river of Eritrea. Systematic exploration of the original 750 square kilometre license, including helicopter EM, land gravity, soil geochemistry and mapping, identified around 40 targets, with a further 20 added when a southern extension into the Mu area was granted in 2017. These have now been winnowed down to just over half a dozen, with most of the work being done at the Yakub Dewar gold deposit. The central part of Yakub Dewar deposit is an outcropping gossan in flat ground about 3 kilometres north of the tarred road. Drilling and trenching delineated a relatively high-grade oxide gold deposit developed above VMS mineralization, with a JORC indicated resource of about 80,000 ounces of gold. This resource will be increased by including similar mineralization from nearby satellite deposits such as Burger Bay. Yakub Dewar also has high-grade copper mineralization, which has been intersected by drilling, and the underlying primary VMS also provide future upside. Although modest in size, the deposit's advantages, proximity to road and water, shallow depth, low strip ratio, good grade, and simple metallurgy, should make the project very profitable. Metallurgical test work is currently underway on a half-ton bulk sample from Yaqub Douar, with the aim of optimizing the plant flow sheet and providing cost information for a feasibility study. The company intends to apply for a mining license early next year. Conceptual financial modelling, with the reasonable assumption that the recoverable resource can be increased by about a half, gives a rate of return of around 85%, with profits of around 70 million over a mine life of 5 to 7 years. Andiamo plans to develop the project not only to generate revenue for shareholders and to invest in further exploration, but also to provide a foundation for acquiring and developing new opportunities in Eritrea and in the region as a whole. At least 6 targets within the Haikota license remain to be fully evaluated. To the north of Yaqub Douar lies the Burger Bay structure, which extends for at least half a kilometre and is likely to become a satellite resource. Outcrop sampling has returned gold grades up to 24 grams per tonne at Burger Bay. The prospective horizon is then offset eastwards by 1 or 2 kilometres to Adi Merire, where sulfides were intersected in a drill hole and in a road cutting. The horizon then passes underneath a wide valley bottom alluvium before re-emerging on the slopes of Mount Hoba, where scout drilling intersected 26 metres at 0.8% copper. 10 kilometres beyond the northern edge of the Haikota license, exploration on the same horizon by Bisha Mining has delineated a 2.4 million tonne VMS deposit at Asheli. The terrain in the north in the Hoba area is pretty rugged, and Andiamo constructed a drill road to reach the EM targets and gossans of the area. Additional drilling is now planned to define, or better define, the discoveries there. To the south of Yaqub Douar, in the centre of the licence area, targets include Okreb, where an EM anomaly is associated with a leached gossan, where soft sediment mud structures are preserved. Okreb will be drill tested following a bit of further mapping and geophysics. Also in the south, Fracata, which is shown as Zone 8 on this map, drilling underneath the outcropping gossan there failed to intersect mineralization, but the geophysical results now suggest that the underlying VMS is offset from the gossan itself. Sulfides have been revealed in a road cutting which tend to confirm this. Also south of Yaqub Douar, we see a different style of mineralization in the west. This is orogenic vein gold style. The mineralization is hosted by marbles, but apparently associated with a nearby granitic intrusion. It extends over at least 3 kilometres and is the source of extensive alluvial gold workings by informal miners. Scout drilling intersected 36 metres at half a gram per tonne. Further work is planned to map and understand the deposits better. Finally, the southernmost part of the licence, granted as an extension in 2017, contains colonial-era gold workings and current artisanal mining. A previous licence holder identified 22 EM targets. Andiamo's own mapping has revealed 2 large gossans and many mineralised veins. The company is now carrying out geochemical, geophysical and geological mapping to determine the best drill hole locations in this area. Andiamo has also identified and is in the process of applying for prime exploration targets elsewhere in Eritrea. At the most promising, rock chip samples gave good grades, gold grades, up to 200 grams per tonne. Andiamo's objective is to become a mid-tier mining company based in Eritrea and elsewhere in northern Africa. We plan to construct a gold mine at Yaqub Douar and build on the infrastructure and revenue it generates to evaluate the other targets within and beyond the license area. We're confident that there are world-class deposits still to be discovered in Eritrea, and Andiamo is ideally placed to find them. Once again, thanks very much for making time to hear the presentation. We'd be happy to answer any questions you might have, either at the virtual conference, at our digital exhibition booth, or directly through our contact addresses. Thanks again.